My name is Jason, and this is Just Watches. All right, we are back with another Casio Edifice. So I love exploring the Edifice line because they're easy to obtain, affordable, and frankly just fun. And to me, having fun is the most important part of a watch hobby. So if you enjoy something, it doesn't matter what brand it is, it doesn't matter the price point, you should wear it. And don't let anyone else rob you of the joy of that watch if you think it's a fun watch to wear. All right, so this is the EFV-590D-2AVCR. Man, those Casio reference numbers. So it's a touch bigger than I usually wear, but I was really drawn to that blue dial and kind of the pops of red on the second hands and the minutes chronograph subregister at the 9 o'clock. So as always, we're going to do specifications, pros, cons, and then if I think this watch is worth the money. If you're enjoying the content of this channel, I invite you to subscribe, and if you enjoyed the content of this individual video, please give it a thumbs up. Alright, let's start with the case. So we have 44 millimeters in case diameter, it's 51 millimeters lug to lug, it's only about 12 millimeters thick, and then there's a 22 millimeter lug width here. So the case is high polish on the sides, and then there's some very light brushing on the top, and it does have these mean angular lugs that seem to be kind of a staple on the Casio Edifice cases. So the 3-link bracelet starts at 22 millimeters and then tapers down to 20 millimeters before jumping back up to 22 millimeters on the clasp. The outer links are brushed, while the inner link is brushed in the middle and high polish on the edge, which sort of gives it a 5-link appearance, but this is just a 3-link bracelet. The bracelet does use hollow end links, and you do get almost full articulation across the back of the case, which helps with how comfortable this watch is to wear on the bracelet. The clasp is a double push deployant. It has the stamped Edifice and the Edifice logo in the clasp, and then the actual scissor is just pressed metal, which is what you'd expect at this price point. Sizing is accomplished with standard push pins, and there are 4 micro positions on the clasp, so you should be able to get a good size no matter what your wrist size. I think 4 micro positions is the magic number for that. The bracelet is pretty standard Edifice affair. It's going to be quite jingly jangly. I find that quite endearing, but if you're expecting like a higher quality bracelet on this watch, it's not something you're going to get, generally speaking, in the lower cost Edifice line. So on the case back, it's just a push in, snap in case back. This has the Edifice logo, Edifice and Casio in the center there, and then some information around the edges. This watch does have 100 meters of water resistance. It is powered by the Casio module 5632. It has a stated accuracy of plus or minus 20 seconds a month and a 3-year battery life. This movement features a 30-minute chronograph movement that can time a split, so basically 2 things simultaneously. It also has a date and a 24-hour sub-register. The crown is high polish. It's just a push-pull that crown. It's not screw-in, and it is signed with the Edifice logo, and then of course you have those 2 pushers at the top and bottom to control the chronograph. The watch uses a dead flat mineral crystal. Some of the Casio Edifice models do feature sapphire crystals, but it's not the case in this one. This is just mineral glass. The dial is this lovely blue, and it does have a sunburst effect. You have the logo and Edifice and Casio at the 12 o'clock. You have a 24-hour sub-register at the 3 o'clock position. At the 6 o'clock position, you have the date as well as the running seconds for the chronograph. And then at the 3 o'clock position, you have the 30-minute totalizer for when you are running the chronograph. I love the red 5-minute designations on the chronograph minute subregister and how that complements the red seconds hands so nicely. The subregisters have very small concentric circles and are silver, which gives them a nice appearance. They also have a sunburst effect. And then down at that 6 o'clock position, the area where the chronograph seconds is nicely textured. The dial overall is busy, but it's busy in a fun way. For the indices, we do have applied indices. They are brushed on the top, and then they slant down towards the center of the dial, and that area of the indice is high polish. So you can see right now they catch light really nicely. The indices are clipped by the subregisters, but they did it in a symmetrical way, and that doesn't really bother me. The hour and minute hand are high polish, sort of a sword style hands, and you can see right now they have a nice gable down the middle, so it really helps them catch light. They are filled with lume in the middle. My usual complaint here is the minute hand is a tad short for my taste. I would really like to see it be a bit longer and reach all the way out to the chapter ring. An interesting thing to note on this chronograph, your regular time seconds is the large red second hand in the middle, and then your chronograph seconds, I'll activate the chronograph, is the little arrow at the 6 o'clock position. So that's the one that times your chronograph. Those are usually flipped in most cases, just something to keep in mind. They put the regular time seconds on the central hand in this case. Now, I really like that cute little chronograph seconds hand. It's like a little triangle with that red tip, and I'll let that run so you can see how that functions later in the video. I'd also like to point out the second hand registration on this watch is perfect. I've had pretty good luck with Casio, and I believe if the registration is off, you can return it to them and they will replace it. Now, the lume on this watch is not good. There's lume on the hands, and then there's tiny lume pips. You can see there's 2 at the 12 o'clock position and then 1 at each of the hours. I'll have a lume shot later, but it's just not really that impressive. It's something that's disappointing but understandable at this price point. Finally, the bezel, which I believe is aluminum, is marked with the hours, 1 to 12. Unfortunately, it doesn't turn, which would be really cool because then you could use it as a GMT. But they did a good job of matching the blue of the dial to the blue of the bezel, and also they did a really good job matching the blue on the chapter ring. So it's very cohesive throughout. And then you can see on the chapter ring, each of the minutes are shown by dashes, and then there's actually they're subdivided into 5 sections for each of the minutes as well on the chapter ring. So here you can see the lume. It's just not very bright. It doesn't charge very fast and it doesn't last very long. This is in kind of semi-dark conditions, but just keep in mind that if you get this watch, you're not going to get Seiko lume here or anything super bright and super reactive, but it's just kind of it's one of the compromises you make at this price point. So here it is on my 6 3/4 inch wrist. Remember, it's 44 millimeters in case diameter, and then it's 51 millimeters lug to lug. So it kind of goes to the maximum edges of my wrist from the top. This is generally larger than I like to wear, but you can pull this off fine with a 6 3/4 inch wrist. Really, watch size comes down to your personal preference. If you tend to wear a smaller watch or longer watch for more than a few days, you just get used to it. You acclimate to it immediately. I just find that I really like around the 39 millimeter size, but there's really nothing wrong with this 44 millimeter on my 6 3/4 inch wrist. So pros and cons. Well, this is an affordable, colorful chronograph from Casio. I like the busy and fun layout of the dial. Also, I love the date at 6 o'clock. Usually they put the date at the 4:30 position, but it kind of breaks up the symmetry of the dial. When they put the date at the 6 o'clock position, it just preserves that symmetry, and I prefer that location for the date. And then finally, one of the benefits of a quartz chronograph, and it's true of this movement, is you can realign the second hand and minute hand for the chronograph function. So if it ever becomes misaligned or isn't quite resetting to its perfect position, you can go into an alignment mode. It's in the manual and you can fix that. On the con side, the lume is terrible. It's just kind of the sacrifice you make at this price point. And then keep in mind, the bracelet is a pretty standard Edifice bracelet. If you're familiar with those, you know exactly what I'm talking about. They're not the highest quality, but they're totally functional and you can wear it on the bracelet no problem. It's just not the highest quality, so you're probably going to hate it or love it. Personally, they don't bother me at all. So is this watch worth the money? Well, currently this watch is about $55 on Amazon. Quartz chronographs are always fun because they're functional and affordable. The world of mechanical chronographs can easily range into the 4-figure price territory, so other than the Seagull chronograph, they're really out of my price range. If this design speaks to you and you are looking for a larger 44 millimeter watch, you can't really go wrong with this Edifice. Yes, the lume is weak, but there are a lot of nice details like gabled hands, applied indices that really make the value of these Edifice models undeniable, especially when you can get them on sale, and you should always wait for a sale because they seem to go on sale quite regularly. All right, one little cute detail for you guys. I'm going to stop the chronograph and then reset it, and then watch what that chronograph seconds hand does at the 6 o'clock position. As it resets, it unwinds for each of the minutes. It's kind of just a cute little thing that the chronograph does. Puts on a little show for you when you're done timing something. So there you have it. This is the Casio Edifice EFV-590D-2AVCR. Woo! Let me know what you guys think of this one in the comments. As always, if you're enjoying the content of this channel, I invite you to subscribe. And if you like the content of this individual video, please give it a thumbs up. Until I see you next time, this is Jason, and you've been watching Just Watches.